I've been married to my beautiful wife for about 4.5 years now. We have 2 boys who just turned 3 and 2. Since we are both working full-time and have small kids, our sexual life dropped to once a week. I have high libido but never put pressure on my wife to do something. I pick up kids from daycare, I cook, I clean, I give kids bath, I change kids diapers, I take them on their appointments, I do a lot. We always had our routine. We go to sleep early around 9 to 9:30. She went out with her girlfriends maybe a couple times a month. She was coming home early, nothing crazy, nothing suspicious. I completely trusted my wife. Earlier this year in April, she told me she felt like we were growing apart. She don't feel like having sex anymore. She said we can just live together but no sex anymore because she doesn't want to force herself to do anything. I had no idea what happened because we were good, no arguments or anything. Literally the same day went back to normal, had some sexy time, good dinner like nothing ever happened. 2 months later, May 22nd, she randomly started asking me about the small gated community in southern part of our city. It's pretty much an area by the beach, middle class, older people. She sent me a screenshot like she and one of her girlfriends, let's call her girl A, were talking about to catch up over there, and that girl also have female cousin in that area. That girl lives 10 minutes away from there. She went to hang out over there. We have each other locations. So I saw they were at the restaurant and I didn't pay no mind. Days later she randomly sent me her boobs picture. She almost never does that. When I say picture, it was taken 3 days before that late night in our bathroom. June 2nd, she went to catch up with her other friend she didn't see for months. A couple of hours later she told me the place closed early and she decided to catch up with girl A and that girl's cousin in that gated community again. They were at the beach. Almost 2 weeks later, Friday early morning, she was shaving her private parts. That night she went out and started sending me screenshots how girl A has problems with her husband and my wife had to go to that gated community to wait over there at the cousin house. It was 10 o'clock. Maybe 30 minutes later I texted her and she responded right away saying she's still waiting for a friend. We exchanged a few texts and she was responding right away. I fell asleep and 11:30 I woke up and saw that she was still in the house, so I texted, what's going on? What are you still doing over there? She said it's a long story. That girl showed up and went back home and blah blah blah. She told me she called Uber and go home. Literally 5 minutes after I texted her, she was already on the way back home. 3 days later, I came home after work. I cooked a meal for my family. She ate. She fell asleep. I checked her phone and there was a dude. He was muted. Conversation with him was deleted besides last 2 messages, one from my wife. You crazy? I am not going to know where my husband just cooked food, and picture of my food in him, that looks good. He was sharing his location with my wife and he was in the same neighborhood where she used to go to hang out, and literally in one of those houses she was hanging out on Friday. I woke her up and confronted her and she got scared at first, started making up excuses. Then she said how she was walking to the cousin's house and there was a dude neighbor standing next door looking at her and how he got her phone number from that cousin and they've been only talking for 1 day. Like she swear on lives of our kids she never did anything wrong and she wants me to trust her and our marriage means so much for her and blah blah blah. She blocked him right away and said she will never talk to him again and even get close to that area etc. I saved his number and texted him saying I am this girl's husband and I see what's going on and invited him to meet me, especially because I can see his location on my wife's phone. He blocked my number. You guys can call me stupid, but I believed in all that crap. A couple weeks later I was still trying to absorb everything and I went back on her phone. Dude was still blocked. I went to conversation with her girlfriend they had that night and that just don't make no sense to me. After that girl texted my wife about problems at home, my wife went straight to that house without address or anything, and she finally called that girl when she was already over here. Also, she started sharing her location with that girl around that time. How can you just randomly go to someone's house you met only once before, at 10 p.m. Friday night? Without address. I opened the conversation with a girl. She claimed she went out on June 2nd and the last time they spoke was in early May. No phone calls or anything. And the most important thing, there was no Uber rides that day. Pretty much someone came to pick her up from us, drove to that house, then drove her back home. I lived knowing this for the last 6 months. We went on 2 vacations together. She goes out as she used to before. A couple times a month. She is trying to call me every time she is out to show me who is she with. She stopped talking to that girlfriend and kinda things got back to normal, but man, it's just eating me alive. Last week I decided to talk about what happened. she denied everything and said she can show me Uber rides. I said okay, show me, and she got crazy, started screaming, okay, let's divorce, let's divorce. I don't want to be with you because you don't trust me. I didn't do anything wrong. That guy is 38 years old and lives with his mom, dad, 3 sisters, and nephews in that home. I love my family, I love my kids. We kinda got back how we used to be last 6 months. Yesterday she was telling me how we gonna go for another vacation next year, and we will upgrade our wedding rings, and she cannot wait to start 2025 with her family. Those 3 weeks in June she was still treating me good. She made reservation for a steakhouse for my birthday in July and invited bunch of people. She booked us a vacation and she paid for it. Like I don't know what to do. I don't trust her anymore. I don't want to do nice things for her anymore. She feels that. I love my kids. I want them to be with both parents. Last week she asked me if can close this topic forever and never talk about this again because it makes her distant from me. I said okay, but I think about that every day. I just wear myself out. This is not my story, but I am directly smack dab in the middle, and I've only told a few people, so thought I would get it off my chest and give myself some closure as it resulted in the breakup of my band, RIP. So there's me, the bassist, my drummer who I had known for over a year, and my guitarist / lead singer who had joined our previous band, but there was lots of drama, so we had 2 members leave and started a 3-piece. We were all close from surviving the last band breakup, and would get even closer over the next 9 months till it all went to shit. My guitarist was dating this girl he met on Tinder. We'll call her Groupie, because that's what she became essentially. I was and still am in a long-term relationship, and my drummer had been dating his GF for a number of months, but it was semi-LDR since she lived in another state but was also living with him for a while. And I say dating because it was more of a situationship since my guitarist didn't want to make things official because of past relationship trauma. I never fully understood this and tried many times to end his situationship or make it official because Groupie grew increasingly more upset by the fact that they were not actually dating, despite basically dating and screwing constantly. He wanted the option of still seeing other people though, really just hooking up with, which she agreed to, but she prefers monogamy, so just accepted the situation. Hilariously, the guitarist never actually slept with anyone else, despite trying numerous times. For background, I am diagnosed with bipolar, and after many months of being in the band, my guitarist confided in me that he probably has bipolar too. This was a huge realization to me because I have a bad relationship with other people with bipolar where we make each other manic, so when I learned this I realized why my guitarist and I fought so much and set boundaries to ensure both of our mental healths. This is why, when I noticed my guitarist become increasingly more manic, I tried to caution and reason with him, but he wasn't having it. At this point he now denied he had bipolar since he never went to get a diagnosis. Regardless, I refused to be around someone while manic, so my guitarist and drummer went on to have the best, and then the worst weekend of their lives, well, worse for my guitarist. We had our last practice on Thursday where I expressed concern and was dismissed, so when practice was finished and they wanted to continue to hang out and party, I opted out, stating I had things to work on. The manically partied all Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Everyone but me was unemployed at the time, haha, and then they got set up for a July 4th party at my drummer's parents' place. The day of the party, both my guitarist and then drummer called me asking if I can go as they wanted to play an impromptu show. While I was free, hearing how manic my guitarist was, his voice was now raspy from over-talking, I declined again, saying the drive was too far and that I actually had plans with my girlfriend. My GF's family actually had their party the day before, but my GF's always down for a good excuse, haha. So the party happened and Groupie showed up. Since guitarist and hers fights were increasingly more hostile recently, things were awkward and tense as I understood. So they barely talked most of the night, and after my drummer and guitarist played a horrible show since they only had a guitarist and drummer and one of them was manic as all hell. Because of how my guitarist was acting, Groupie spent most of the party with my drummer as he was the only other person she knew. This part I'm hazy on, but I believe my guitarist at some point left, and for some reason without Groupie. Well, Groupie ends up spending the night in a guest room, supposedly, and all is well. Then my guitarist calls me the next morning and is livid. He's also manic, so it's hard to understand what's going on, but I gather he's pissed at my drummer and he can't get a hold of him, so he asks me to. As the bassist, I am basically the glue of this band. also band leader, so kinda my responsibility, so I call my drummer. Immediately I'm taken aback as I hear him on speaker in his car and Groupie is with him. They're both laughing and jovial. From the scattered details my guitarist shared and the details my drummer shared, they definitely slept together, but vehemently denied this and tried to downplay the situation. Being middleman sucks a lot, but I tried to reason with both sides to fix the situation, which in retrospect was stupid, since things had already escalated so much and they were never going to be the same. Anyways, eventually my guitarist threatens both of them to murder them with power tools, so that solidified the breakup of the band. Some of our other mutual friends eventually got my guitarist to realize he was in the wrong, as Groupie technically never cheated since they were never official. Now he was mostly just upset with drummer for sleeping with his girl, who was not his girl, but still there's bro code, that's clearly a stab in the back. And my drummer said that he was on a break with his GF at the time since she was back in her hometown, which was easily verified as false since their FB status was still in a relationship, which changed the next day, lol. And yes, Groupie and drummer started dating and are still together. It's been over a year now, and I still question if I had actually gone to the party that night, maybe I could have prevented my band from being Yoko Ono D. In retrospect, they were all toxic, broken people, and I constantly had to play therapist with everyone as I was the only one who had actually gone to therapy and worked on their past traumas. Oh well, it was fun while it lasted.